So this is going to be a bit of a longer video, like 2 times the length. So let's get into it. Hello and welcome, or welcome back to the channel if you are returning. Thank you. Usually when I record these, they're more rambly for over the period of like 15 to 30 minutes. Typically 15 because I don't like rambling for too long. But we are extending this to an hour and we'll see how this goes. So, yeah. So initially I named him like David or something, but I chose not to name him David. I think I'm gonna name him Lucas. His nickname's Luke, and I just think that it's a better suit for this character. So much for letting you guys try to decide. That's the problem with recording things out of sequence. But yeah, it just had been a really busy month of October. I have a bunch of videos that are releasing by the time you see this, but those have been released for October, and I'm recording this audio, just like general stuff in October. So you can see that there's going to be this lapse of time between things that might confuse you. But his name is Lucas now. We're going to just, let me confirm that as of right now. His name is Lucas. And he now has black hair instead of yellow because I felt like there needed to be more black or darker color to sort of anchor him as a character design, especially amongst a yellow background like I do here. The other cool thing about the spread though is that we play a different style with him just a little bit, and I also try picking up the landscape aspect that I've been trying to do for a while. My backgrounds always suffer throughout my art pieces, and I'm just trying to do a little better for that. Usually when I record these, by the way, I don't usually see what's going on screen. Usually I am just rambling for a certain period of time, and then I'll change the clip to match the duration of the ramble, and I'm starting to sort of kind of understand why I do that. So currently I am able to see what's happening on screen, like for example, being distracted by my phone over there while I'm supposed to be drawing, I guess. Or I am trying to research and find out what landscape or what to draw next in the spread. That's what happens when you do things in time. You get to see me struggle and try to figure things out as I go. But yeah, I didn't know what did I want to draw for the rest of the spread, and it's sort of like this exercise because you want it to be aesthetically appealing. I will get to this in a second, but you also want to sort of push yourself and be creative. Now, what I'm going to return to is saying about wanting things to be aesthetically appealing, especially in a sketchbook. It doesn't have to be. Listen, guys, I'm sorry I said that. I shouldn't have. You should not feel pressured to make every spread of your sketchbook, or even just to make the general sketchbook pretty. The reason why I am doing this is because in the future, when I do sketchbook tours, I want them to actually have some interesting spreads for you guys to look through. On top of that, it sort of helps to encourage me to draw, because instead of looking through a whole bunch of sketches that's never come to fruition, I can see that there are finished spreads that I've done and feel like, oh yeah, no, I can draw and I can still make good pieces of art. Now, I do want to say that I have been on the other side where a sketchbook is just a sketchbook and I've only used it to sketch in. And actually speaking, I do still do that, especially for graphic design, because most of your finished work is going to be digitally anyways. So yeah, I still have sketchbooks that are very sketchy and messy, and they're meant just to jot down ideas and to make ideas and to keep them as ideas and hold them for the future when I feel like rendering it out. Now, in saying that, it's like I can get where the headspace for that can be difficult, because you want to see finished pieces, because when you see finished pieces is when you really feel fulfilled and accomplished as an artist, instead of just constantly seeing sketches and feeling like, oh man, none of these ideas comes to fruition, and then that can feel really crappy. And on top of that, you see all these people on YouTube and like Instagram and all these places that have these nice, beautiful sketchbooks and really cool spreads, and it's colorful and vibrant. And then you start to doubt yourself as an artist, or you feel uninspired or unmotivated because those are what you see around you, and that's all you see. Like, one of the things that I have in this sketchbook, even like I say that I want it to be prettier and whatnot, I still have my warm-up sketches and I still have the idea sketching and things like that, because I think it's really important to show, especially beginner artists, that it's not all pretty and that we do not come out of the womb already knowing how to draw. So like, it's just an interesting mindset. And even though I say like, oh, I want to do these like finished pieces for you guys so you guys can see something interesting, it's also just to see that I can do interesting things. And it's also nice to flip through a sketchbook and see, oh, there are some finished spreads and that I can draw, and that it might just be a shitty day and that I'm not a shitty artist. So it's sort of like this thing where it's balancing. That's something that I find very important in life. It's all balancing traits and skills and whatnot. Because too much of one thing, even if it's good, can be bad. And that's something that I feel very strongly about. And I think it makes sense, especially when it comes to attributes, personality and traits and whatnot, but also like how you live life. That's one thing that I never really liked about quotes, by the way, because it felt like it's targeted towards one specific person. But then you could flip it around and say like, well, what if you're this person or this situation, and then it doesn't work, or it's absolutely like a horrible idea. And that's why I don't really like, it's really hard for me to find a good quote because of that reason. But yeah, so it's like balancing between, I want to balance between having the sketchbooks and like having the roughs and whatnot, and then also having nice spreads. And I'd like to contain it into one sketchbook, because I know some people, they will do two different sketchbook, one for like a final spread and then one for their ideas. But I feel like I want to keep them in one place. That's just a personal preference. And like everything, this is all just a personal preference type thing. You don't have to be like, oh, well, I just want ideas in my sketchbook, or oh, I only want like nice things. If those things work for you, then they work for you, and that's okay. My mindset is because I do not do these grand pieces anymore like I did in high school. And I just do smaller things now, and I work more on ideas and like plotting and like sort of planning stories, rather than making these like concept pieces. That it's okay for me to still have sketchy arts and to have thumbnails of future composition and pieces that I want to do, rather than just always doing nice spreads. The other reason why I sort of wanted to do a spread like this was because it's colorful. If you've been here for a while, you'll know that I work in a lot of black, whites, and grays. I worked in I worked with pen and ink, so mostly like pen work for a period of time, and I work a lot with graphite, and I've worked some things with charcoal and whatnot, and those two are my like go-to mediums, because I just find it so much easier to work with, and I don't have to worry about color theory and all those things. And it's not to say that I can't work with color. I have done colored pieces in the past. If you look back in my portfolio from high school, I have done colored pieces. It's just not something that I gravitate towards frequently. Now, in saying that, it is something that I hope to do in the future, just because I feel like I've done a lot of black and white pieces, and I just want to like challenge myself a bit more, and working with color, especially traditionally, might help me gear towards working in color for digital art. I find a lot of the skills that I do traditionally is better than my digital art, but it's also sort of like a foundation, and sort of hopefully helps me to develop my digital art skills. So yeah, just I want to work with color, and then on top of that, I also just have a whole bunch of colorful mediums. Like, I haven't bought art supplies for like 2-3 years now, which great, by the way. But Also, like, I haven't been using the art supplies that I have accumulated over the years prior to that, and I sort of want to get to using them before they dry up or go bad in some way. So that's something that I hope to challenge myself in the future, and the reason why I'm starting to do more colorful things. For example, like the whole yellow theme that this character has is because I was using a paint marker that I haven't used very often, that I don't really think about using, but I thought, you know what, it's a yellow sketchbook and I have this yellow marker that doesn't get any use, I might as well use it. And that's how it goes, you know. So yeah, it's good to sort of consume what you've bought and only buy what you need, because to be honest, I don't paint that often. I got it because I was doing art class in high school, and then now I have a few requests every now and then to do, so that helps me sort of use them up. But aside from that, I don't think I would go out and buy more paint as of right now, because it's not the medium that I'm really into, and I need to sharpen up that skill a bit more so I could do that with what I have. Now, right now, you'll see me sketching out some things. That's because I find that my background sort of kind of suffers a little bit, especially when it comes to digital art. I just don't know what to do, and I just don't love drawing backgrounds there. Traditional, it's like okay, especially with like a pen and stuff like that. It's been alright, so I don't really mind it too much when it comes to traditional, but I thought that I want to sort of study it a bit more and get into doing more environment and backgrounds for character designs and whatnot. So that's what I'm doing here. I sort of like get a reference photos and whatnot, or several reference photos, so I sort of know like the style that I'm doing and the composition a bit better and how to adjust things more. So that's what I end up doing, and I actually really liked how that turned out. It might not be the most complicated background that you've seen or that's out there, but it's a start, and that's really all you can ask for, is like a start to doing something. But yeah, you can sort of see the faint sketch here. It's like the curbside, little street lamp, and like a background of the skies. Really cute. And here I also changed the style of Lucas' face. I called him David, I know. That was just a filler name. Now his name is Lucas. So I changed Lucas's style a little bit in like how I draw him, and he has the dot eyes, which I found so cute. And like, yeah, I just stick with that now. It just works so well in the style and the style that I use, because I don't like render out faces and like colors and stuff, so it just worked really well in this situation. Dot eyes, not rendering so well, cell shading, they all just go well together. So yeah, it's just really like cute though, the style, and I like the adjustment with his hair, so I can't complain about this. It's great. Oh man, it's just so cute, this one. But yeah, that's like the thing about art though, is that you have to like, in order to develop your skills, you have to actually do it. So this is me like doing it, so then I can see where my skill set is at and like work on it from there. And that's the thing that I want. Like, there's so many different corners of the internet and so many communities, and they're lovely. And like, random thing, by the way, I found out that there's like this darker side of the art community that I didn't know about, and it sort of like freaks me out a little, because I thought like I'm like trying to nurse my corner of the community, being like positive, uplifting, you know, like try new things. It could be art related, it could be like writing related, it could be living life related, you know. And like, to hear that there's like this darker side of the art community, it like blows my mind, and I'm like, please don't bring that over here. I know I say the words like shit and like things like that, but I'm trying not to let negativity encroach in this area. Like, we want to be uplifting, especially for other artists, because that's like one thing that I wish I paid attention a bit more, is like the support that I got. Like, I was very dismissive of the support and like the idea of becoming an artist or anything creative, because I didn't know that there were creative fields outside of just being a fine art major. But like, now that I do, and now that like people are supporting me and whatnot, it's just really nice, and like to keep that in mind and to actually be doing something that I really enjoy, and like no qualms about graphic design and whatnot. So yeah, that's why I want this channel to be more uplifting and encouraging, especially to newer artists, and sort of like expose people to the side of like, hey, you don't like, if you don't love doing visual arts, like the fine arts, have you tried graphic design? Have you tried UX and UI design, game development? All those things that are like part of design and being a creative, but it's not just like painting or making sculptures or doing all the things that fine artists do. And like, if you like doing that, then I say go for it. But like, if you're like, I don't want to do that like all day, we might be able to find something for you. But yeah, so essentially, like, I want this community to be very encouraging and to try new things. And I'm like trying to try new things too, so then I'm not just like sitting on the side and just like doing things in the art world. Like, for example, first off, you have different shots of like, this is like a brand new type of video on this channel. I don't usually do sketchbook spreads, and I don't usually like do in time and all these things. Like, I've done traditional paintings and whatnot, but I try to like keep the perspective of it consistent and whatnot. But this is like changing angles and like all these things, and I'm trying to push myself a bit more to do like in-person videos. So it's saying that like I have sort of like a script video coming out. I don't know how soon though, because it's a lot of work, because I have to, first off, I had to script it, and then I had to do the like storyboard idea for it, and then now I have to shoot the shots of it and record the video and like the audio of it and edit it all together, get soundtracks and whatnot. It's a lot of work that's going into that one video, and I hope it pans out well, but I don't know. So we'll see. But yeah, so it's like, I want you guys to try new things, and it doesn't have to be art related, but just as long as you get to try new things and gain some like good experiences, that's sort of like what I'm trying to encourage here. I think we have gone very far from the point that I was saying. We were talking about sketchbooks and how it can be sketchy, and that is okay if it's sketchy, because I remember when my grade 11 and 12 sketchbooks, like flipping through them, they were very sketchy because I was doing larger scale pieces outside of the sketchbook, and that's fine. But it's also fine to do like nice spreads on your sketchbook, so then when you flip through it, you can remember like, oh, it's not that bad. But also, like, don't fret about sketches being sketchy, because they are sketches. They are supposed to be rough. It's not supposed to be perfect. And also, like, warm-up sketches are meant to be rough because they are warming you up. You think that person that is, like, bench pressing 250 just waltz in there and presses that? No, they have to warm up, and that might not be the prettiest sight. So, think about that. But yeah, so, like, that's fine. The art community, you know, try to stay positive and support each other, because it's already grim out there, especially on the YouTube platform right now. That's like another thing too that blows my mind, is like how different people watches different things. It's not that big of a surprise, but like, sometimes I forget there are kids on this platform, because I don't tailor my videos to be towards kids. I like aim for like 20 years old and up, maybe like 18 years old and up. That's not because there's anything inappropriate. It's just because I say shit. And I don't know, I feel like it's more developed in like what I say, not necessarily what I draw, but what I say is a bit more sophisticated than what I aim for like 14 and 13 years old. Look, I don't know what's going on with the newer generations. I'm not into that, because I'm like 24, okay? Like, this is something to keep in mind. I am 24 making these things, so it's not like I know what's going down with the kids. I try to keep in my own lane. So yeah, that's just like the crazy thing though, is like how YouTube is sort of kind of spiraling, because there's like this massive drama, and I get that people can change. I understand that people can make mistakes. They're not perfect. But like, what at what point do we say, okay, maybe so and so needs a little break from content creating, so let's just like give that to them, right? But that's it's just not really my place to really do those things, is it? It's just the only thing I can do is just not support them, which I haven't been supporting them in the first place, because that's not the type of content that I like I watch. Listen, I watch a lot of commentary channels, like drama content that's going on, but I really don't do much with the information, because usually it's about people, like mainstream people that I don't really care about, like the Kardashians. Like, I don't care about the Kardashians, and I really don't care about Ariana Grande, and I really don't care about, like, big YouTubers like Mr. Beast, for example, or, like, KSI and Logan Paul. You can tell what's been on my recommended feed, but I don't really care about those people because they don't make content towards me, and I'm not a mainstream type person. I think, at most, I've watched Jacksepticeye and Markiplier, and those two are, like, the main big time YouTubers that I've watched and that I've seen, right? Like, especially consistency, especially like in 2020 type era. But nowadays I'm like watching either just random commentary, random art channels, or like cinematography type things, because those are the things that I want to like develop skills and like get into and stuff like that. So man, people are wild, let me tell you. But yeah, so it's like it's definitely not my cup of tea. I'm definitely not a mainstream type person, and it boggles my mind though that, you know, they become mainstream for a reason, because a lot of people watches them and pays attention to them, and I'm like, man, that's what people find interesting? But anyways, I guess it's because YouTube is mostly like little kids just love flocking to those like channels and whatnot and watching them, which is do you, I guess, unless it's morally wrong and questionable. But yeah, so like, I don't know, it's just odd to think like of the general audience and what people are in tune with and what's the big conversation about. But yeah, no, personally, I will stick to the art side and the cinematography side, and I will continue to watch like my pen paling videos and crafting stuff, because I like those things. That's what I enjoy. Lately, I've been watching like people doing crocheting and knitting, because if you guys don't know, I have been doing crocheting, especially like making a patchwork cardigan. It's my first like pretty big project outside of like just crocheting and knitting scarves, so I'm pretty excited for that, and it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. And if it doesn't turn out well, then we try again, because some odd reason people are like, hey, if you're making this, you want to make me one? And I'm like, you do know this is like my first big project, so I don't know how it will turn out. And they're like, it's fine, just make one anyways. So yeah, look, we don't know how well it will turn out unless we try. I don't know if you can hear this, by the way, but my computer is screaming. I could just... Yeah. It's probably because Premiere Pro is a little bit of a heavier program, and it's running that along with a few other things right now, and I am recording on Premiere Pro. Usually I use Audacity, but right now I was like, maybe it's just easier to do Premiere Pro and just record it. But I'm realizing, so usually I record the voiceover outside of the video, so I'm not seeing what's on the screen and it's distracting me. Right now it's distracting me a little bit, because all I see is on the screen, and I'm like, oh, what is that transition? Oh, what was that cut? Jeez. And yeah, I'm getting distracted by it a little bit, a tiny little bit. But yeah, so not really my favorite shot. I don't really love this wide shot here. And if you're wondering like why my arm is like that closest to the camera, it's because I'm probably trying to hold my hair back. That's like one of the pains about my haircut, is because it doesn't really stay behind my ear, so it doesn't really stay up. So when my head is tilted, it just gets in the way, and when I'm trying to draw or like eat even, it's a struggle. Let me tell you. So yeah, I'm trying to hold back my hair. I could just tie it up, but I just didn't tie it up that day that I was recording it. But yeah, so that would be me trying to hold back my hair. And yeah, continue drawing. Oh man. Anyways, as I was mentioning though, yeah, we've been getting into more cinematography. You can realize that like I'm trying to like change camera angles and like work on camera work and whatnot, because in the future I do hope to do more cinematic type things, just to get a bit more into video editing and whatnot, because in the field of graphic design there's just so many different branches, and it's why I love graphic design so much. There's just so many different branches to explore and to sharpen your skills and whatnot, that you just keep learning. And one of the things that I want to learn right now is like a bit more video editing, a bit more videography, just a little bit, and maybe like some photography type things, as well as like drawing and like the usual like logo design and branding and whatnot. But it's just been like really interesting to sort of push myself and see how we can edit things and like how we can shoot videos, especially because top-down view is actually really challenging for me, just because of what equipment I'm using. And then on top of that, I think it's the Canon Rebel T7. So the Canon Rebel series, especially like certain generations of them, they can only shoot video for a certain amount of time. And I was like, man, is there a way around this? Like, is there a way to fix that? I found out that I'm pretty sure, like after a quick search, which if you guys are into like videography and whatnot, like let me know if this is true, especially if you're working with the Canon T Rebel series type things. They stop at half an hour, 30-minute recording intervals because of the battery and overheating problem that they have, because like it's meant to be a beginner photography camera, not so much like videography, although you can shoot videos. So like because of that, I've had like to try to gloss over footage that I lose, or like try to be more seamless in like transitions and whatnot, just because there are moments where it will turn off while I'm in the midst of something, or I don't hear it turn off and then I miss like a whole bunch of footage, which is like sort of an oopsie daisy. Anyways, I don't want to talk about it too much longer though. But yeah, and you'll see that like I am using my Tombos as well, just because that's sort of one thing that I want to do, is use up art supplies that I currently have and like push them and like explore them more, because I bought the art supplies and I don't really want to buy more art supplies until I use up what I have. And if I enjoy it a whole lot, then I'll just buy them again. But if I don't, then I can move on and like go try a different medium. And that's like something that can really help, especially when you're in an art block or something, is trying a different medium. Right now I really like using the Tombos, like just to experiment and try different things. But I know in the future, like, it's not the best for blending and, like, for final art pieces that I am hoping to do, because that's something alcohol markers would be more, like, for. But as of right now, like, I'm enjoying just doing grayscale things with it and, like, adding a hint of color to my spreads, so that way it pops a bit more, especially when I use graphite or pen. So, like, I just think it's really a good idea, and something that I'll do more in the future is, like, hey, we have this medium that I bought a while ago, let's actually use it and explore a bit more, and like to do series like that. That way it also like teaches people like you can work with what you have, and you don't always have to like go out and buy new mediums. Push the mediums that you have, experiment it to as much as you can, and if you don't like it by the end of that, then yeah, don't use it. But if you like sort of like it, then maybe that's a medium that you want to keep with you for a while. Like, that's not to be, like, pushy and tell people, like, oh, you bought the medium, you better use it type thing. But it's just to encourage people, because especially in a world where we all want to be careful about what we're consuming and, like, what we're buying and how much we're buying and overconsumption, it's a good idea to sort of try to use what you have until you're done with it. Or, like, give it to someone who will use it. But for me, I don't know anyone who will use it, and I purchased those things with money that I earned, so I want to use them while I can, and yeah, stuff like that. But as you do know, like even just like paints and whatnot, I do want to like use my paints more, just because I have them and I don't paint very often. Like you'll know on this channel if you've been here for a while that I don't paint very often. It's not like a frequent occurrence, just because it's a messy medium. It's a messy medium and I don't usually have an idea as to what to paint, which is something that I'm going to push myself in the future, and I really do hope to push myself this year, or like for the remainder of the year, this year or like this period, for a period of time, for a 12-month period of time. What a weird time to be starting a new sketchbook, I guess, in like October when we're coming close to the end of the year. But what did you expect, okay? I can't go like the rest of the year not drawing or drawing on a napkin. I'm not Picasso. But yeah, so essentially like just really trying to push myself creatively, and then hopefully encourages other people to push themselves creatively. You know, let's try to support each other as an artist, and whoever covers all the drama and whatnot for art communities, they can do that. They can handle that. I'll stay in my own lane. Thank you. But yeah, so like very exciting to think about what is to come, especially when I have a video that's coming up that is taking a lot of work and effort and whatnot, and I hope it goes well. My fingers are crossed. But yeah, I think it's pretty exciting though to think about the potentials that can happen. It's scary too though, because I know like sometimes you aim so high and you're definitely not reaching it, and sure, like aim for the stars, aim for the moon, because if you miss you'll land among the stars. No, okay, it can be really crappy to miss, and sometimes you don't land amongst the star, because listen, if you land amongst the star, you're burning up. I'm just saying. So like I'm trying to set appropriate level like goals for me to achieve that it's like achievable and possible if I just push myself a little bit, but not like trying to push myself too much where I either burn out or it's just not possible where I am at right now. So it's like this thing of like baby steps. And I think it's really important to try and not be like, oh yeah, let me try to be like a masterful artist, you know. I'll be a master of painting within the year, even though like I've never picked up a paintbrush or something along those lines. So it's just like trying to be reasonable and like with my time frame, and also like keeping in mind that like I am a working person. I have a life. Trying to keep my work-life balance here. So like yeah, it's just trying to make it achievable and realistic in the world. And I think just pushing myself and being creative is a very realistic goal. As you can see from here already, you know, this is something that I don't typically do, but we try and we see how it goes. And in speaking of that, it's like a whole, like, I'm not trying to compare myself to the next artist beside me. I'm trying to compare myself to the past me. And let me tell you, Blanket from grade 8 could not draw like this. Blanket from grade 8 drew Tumblr posts with cute little cupcakes, okay? So, like, to do something like this is pretty good. And just, like, remember to look back at where you started from and note how far you've come before you start talking down upon yourself and, like, saying how bad of an artist you are. And also remember that like one shitty day of drawing does not mean you're a shit artist. It just means that you've had a bad day. And that's perfectly fine. So like at the end of the day, the people that you look up to didn't come out of the womb with the skill to draw. That was probably taught and worked upon. And that you need to know where you started from and note your progress and like acknowledge the progress that you've made to get to where you are now. Because that's like, it's such a smaller step and so much more manageable and like doable to be like, okay, I want to improve in my environmental sketching, so then we'll do that first, rather than, oh my gosh, I want to be just like so and so, because chances are so and so did their studies and took a lot longer and took some time to learn these things, whereas you think you could just jump to the next ladder. And in all honesty, You could maybe if you tried really hard, but to be realistic about majority of us, we need to do baby steps and we need to work our way up to their level rather than trying to just jump there constantly, because you will get burnt out and you will get unmotivated and you will feel like you're a shit artist. So compare yourself to now versus the past, and like take notes that yeah, I've come this far and I no longer just draw stickmen, I draw figures now. And it's always a step up, and it's always, as long as you're moving forward, then you're moving forward, and that's really all you can ask for. And that's something that I've learned sort of like in this brutal way of stop comparing myself, especially to like Instagram artists and whatnot, because you don't know how old other people are unless it's like told in their bio or whatever. And like personally for me, I don't pit my age. I'm 24, by the way, and this is how I draw. So like, take that with how you will. But yeah, it's like just noting that like you don't know how far someone's actually come and how much work and effort they've put in. And like there are people that are showing like, oh yeah, my 14-year-old sister draws like this and it's amazing. Yeah, but how much time did they put into that drawing and like doing realism and whatnot? Like how much effort was that they put on their part? And that's like this big thing, right? Where it's like, it's not just how old you are, but it's also how much work and time you've put into learning something. Like you are not gaining a skill level without gaining the skill points, you know? Like put the effort in, learn it, and then keep climbing. Especially if you really enjoy it, you know? But yeah, so like that's one of the things that I've learned. I'm really passionate about art to the point that I'm willing to learn and to keep at it and like keep learning and going from there. But like there are some things that you can let go if you decide that it's not for you, that it's not for you. Like for me, I hate playing basketball and I am not going to pursue trying to get better at basketball. But it's like I've tried it, you know, I didn't enjoy it at all, like not even at a skill level like, oh, I suck and that's why I don't enjoy it. I just don't like basketball. I would not play it myself. So yeah, it's just like experimenting what you do like and what you don't like too. And that's something I want to push on this channel, because I'm going to pick up mediums that I probably hate with all my guts. And will I continue using that for 10 years? I will not, because I've tried it, I've experimented with it, and I decided it's not for me. And it could be because it's too messy, or the setup is too much, or maybe it's just like not a medium that I want to, like that I have a desire to use, and that is okay too. But if you tried it and you've marked it off your list, then that's what matters. Try new things, gain some life experience. Like for example too, like that's the other thing, and I will get into this in the future, but like doing things can help inspire you to do more. And I know like exposing myself to other artists, especially like Jazza was like a big huge inspiration to get into like character designs and whatnot. And just like scrolling on Pinterest and finding like fantasy clothes and like things like that you're like, oh my gosh, that looks so cool, and I know an idea for this concept. So then actually like implementing that and like getting inspired and changing things up so then it's your own, it's just like a really big thing for creatives to do. And like every subject or every place that you go, especially in the creatives, so like videography and photography, they encourage you. They're like, look at inspiration photos. Why do you like them? And then try to replicate why you like them. And then try to shoot like different types of subject matters or motifs. Take videographies and try like different lightings and different compositions and whatnot. And it's just really important to like expose yourself, whether it be, I was gonna say parasocially, but that's not the word. It'd be like from watching videos or from like scrolling through Instagram. Just don't like doom scroll. Don't like get too addicted to that. I say as I doom scroll quite often, but I'm trying not to, okay? But yeah, so like as you experience and like talk to other people and see what they're up to and whatnot. It's just a really good thing to keep up and to keep in mind as you are in the creative industry and whatnot, and get inspired. And like, you don't have to copy a person's style completely, but it's a good building block as to figuring out what you like to do and what you like to draw. And also, whoever can steal other people's styles and like make their own pieces is absolutely crazy. Like, I'm talking to one of my friends right now, and we're like, do you know what would be really good if you could be a Kirby but for like artists? So you suck in like an artwork, and then you could just create like that artist, because that is just insane. Some people's styles are absolutely crazy, and it's just amazing to watch and see them draw and whatnot. And it's like how I want to do that. So yeah, that's something that's like really cool. Love it. I think Julia from Drawfeed does it really well, and that's like the first like instance I was like, wow, that's amazing that she could just study an artist, and I was like, okay, so I'm gonna do this and try to replicate their style, and it's like amazing how she can do it. It's wow. But yeah, so like, just I like just experimenting and just like being out there and sort of seeing things. And like, even this video itself is an experiment, doing different angles and like trying to capture completing a full sketchbook spread, and also doing this long format. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm dying. Maybe this isn't for me. To do this long of a content, especially like by yourself, because I'm just talking to the screen and watching what's going on, and running out of conversations to say, because I don't have a lot of experience in like what to tell you guys, and like I don't have a lot of stories either that I can just like talk about, which, you know, could be fun in the future, but just not right now because I don't have them. And I feel pressure to like stay on topic to like talk about art and creating and stuff, and not so much about like in-person experience. It's just really weird. I feel like there needs to be a boundary, and I'm trying to establish like what that boundary is, especially since I like having my privacy. So yeah, I'm just like trying to figure that out too. But doing this longer form content, it's like sort of like an experiment. You know, I want to see how it goes and if it works well. And if it doesn't work out well, then I go back to doing like 15 minutes to 30 minutes content, which I'm perfectly fine with. Oh my gosh. But yeah, still really cool though, because I know I like watching certain people draw and their process, especially filling in a sketchbook or like a spread of a sketchbook. Love watching sketchbook tours and all those things. So that's why like I'm trying this, but I'm pretty sure they don't talk for an hour straight and ramble off like their audience's ears. So, oops. I'm getting demands from my mother to do some things, so I will be. Okay, I have to go and do that, but I'll be back. All right, I have returned doing stuff for the family because my mom is trying to make Taiwanese sausages, which is very exciting because it's really good, and I look forward to it. So yeah, I was just doing something so then she can actually have that prepared for dinner tonight. But yeah, no, that's just like, it's just interesting to do long form content, especially because there's so many different styles, and like on one hand you want to satisfy like the audience and like try to conform to the algorithm, but on the other hand it's like you can't please everyone and you sort of want to cater to the audience that, you know, likes the genuine you, so you don't have to put on a persona every time you like turn on the camera or like record something. And it's just like this really hard balance to find, because like you want, I don't know, like on one hand it's like it'd be great to like, you know, be able to make money off of like doing YouTube and whatnot to sort of like help out financially and stuff, but it's also like that's not my main goal in life. I do want to get into the graphic design industry and I want to do a bit more in that sense. So like it's a balancing act for sure, and trying to figure out what you do and don't like to do. I just also think that when you force yourself to do a style of video that majority of people will like, but it's not genuine to you, it can get really tiring at times, and I really don't want to get like burnt out again. So like we're gonna just stick with doing whatever I want to do and go from there. It's once again like everything in life, it's a balancing act, and I'm just trying to figure out like how can I meet getting YouTube to like the videos that I put out, but also like keeping it genuine and to myself. But like I don't know if I like doing this recording for like an hour long recording. It's feeling a bit long, but you know what, we won't know until we try. So yeah, let me know let me know if you guys do like the longer form content though, if you'd like a little less talking, because I think I could do a little less talking and a little more soundtrack as my voice is about to go. But yeah, no, I definitely did enjoy doing like the in-person recording stuff and things. In the future, we might be able to shorten it down by like cutting things and like how I edit the videos. But I thought like for this time just to experiment and see how it goes, and so you guys can actually watch the full process. And yes, it does take time to do art. It looks bad before it gets good too, so it's just how it is. But yeah, no, I hope you guys really did enjoy this video though. I'm trying to stick it out until the end. I don't know what the end is though. I think I do know what the end is. But yeah, no, I really just, I love these two characters so much. Blue is from the previous sketchbook, and they are a really funny blueberry character in like a cyberpunky tech futuristic world type thing, and their ancestor is Sir Legume, I believe, which is really funny. My friend came up with that, and it was just like, yeah, we thought you were a bean or a legume of sorts, but turns out you're a blueberry. Sorry to mess that up. And he's like a loyal, like he's a royalty king aristocrat type person, and then there's just Blue, who is a descendant and like this really cute character that I just want to like hold his head. I want to hold their head and just like pinch their cheek, although that might be dangerous because it's a blueberry. But yeah, and also like just blueberries, one of my favorite like western fruits. I like a lot of like exotic like fruits from like Vietnam and stuff. Durian, although that is like you either love it or you hate it type fruit. Like I like durians, soursop. I also like mangosteen and like germ and longnan. So like there's a whole bunch of things that I like that isn't from America, which is really interesting. And then like there are fruits that I do like from here, like blueberries and are there any certain apples are pretty cool. I guess. grapes and stuff. So like, yeah, it's just blueberries my favorite fruits from, this part of the world. I just say Western fruit though, because it's easier for me to identify and be like, oh, that's what I mean by Western fruit. But yeah, so like, it's like one of my favorites. I remember one time I was home alone and we had this really big container of blueberries. This is how much I love blueberries. There's just this really big container of blueberries. It's like 2 quarts or 4 quarts. It was like the big cartons, plastic cartons. And I remember just sitting home alone one time, starting to watch Attack on Titan, although it's not my favorite, just because I can't handle stupid. Just questionable things, and I get so frustrated. Like horror movies and stuff, I get so frustrated during them, and I just like, sure, I might die in those situations, but also just seeing people's decisions, and I'm like, oh man, I just can't. Well, yeah, and I remember sitting there watching Attack on Titan, and I was just eating blueberries, and I ended up eating like half the whole, like half or like 3/4 of the containers, and I'm like, what am I doing? It was just so good though. I love blueberries so much. But yeah, so like, that's my spiel about blueberries. That's my true Blue. But yeah, Blue is just a really cool character. Really do enjoy his character design, and you'll see him pop up every now and then in the sketchbook because, how could I not? And he's really good to like. He's really good to translate between different styles. So he has like the adult style, or like the cute adult style, and then he has like a chibi style and like a mini style. That they're all just really cute, and I just can't get over this character. I love him. I love them. I don't know if it's a them or a him, but I love them a lot. And then yeah, there's like Luke, which I thought it'd be really cool just to do a composition with both of them together, because they're both sort of like futuristic cyber punk type characters. Like they take place in the very far future where there are flying cars and cool looking buildings and all those places. So yeah, I thought it'd be really cool just to put them together and just make this spread a bit more interesting and dynamic, and it also adds a pop of color other than yellow to the spread, which is good. It's a deal. Not to make too much of one color, but yeah, so I really do like the spread. Easily one of my favorite ones in the sketchbook so far as I'm recording this, and yeah, I hope to do cool spreads like this in the future as well. But that's not to say, you won't see sketchy or messy things in the sketchbook, because that's not what I intend on doing. I know some people will do 2 sketchbooks, one messy and one with like nicer spreads, but it ain't me. It ain't me. It might be you though, so you never know unless you try. I know like even some people don't even like sketchbooks. Some people just draw on a napkin or whatever pieces of paper they can reach and just puts them in a folder. But yeah, I like having sketchbooks though. They're really nice, and it keeps everything organized and together, and then you can also work across both spreads, especially if they aren't spiral bound. For a long time though, I did work in spiral bound sketchbooks. It was cheaper. It was cheaper alternative, and it was the size that I needed for high school, and then eventually when I went to college. So, yeah, standard stuff. Oh, and then I also started getting into lining things too, especially with my, what are you? Faber-Castell's liners? It's something. It adds, you can do a bit more detail, or like sort of emphasize more details with them. Nothing too special, I get it. I get why people line their art and whatnot. And sometimes I'll do it. Sometimes I'll just draw right in pen though, so can't complain about that. Oh yeah, and I'm just checking references because I have no idea. Like, I don't remember the specifics of a character design, so I have to like flip back and like check on things, especially with Blue too, because there's some details that I've missed in the past that I'm like, oh no, that was like sort of important. So yeah, see, changing up the shots. A lot of cuts here just because there are times where it's just my hand. Like, you don't even get to see me put anything down. It's just my hands in the way, and that's all you get to see. which, you know, sort of kind of sucks a little bit, but you know what, you're not missing out too much, I would say. If you even lasted this long in the video, my goodness, it's just such a long video. So many ramblings, and I'm sorry. But yeah, no, I really did enjoy the colors of this. Just the yellow, black, and white just goes so well together. You know, it's sort of like a classic color scheme, but also just this specific yellow, you know, it just worked too well. And that's sort of Luke's colors now. It's just this bright bright golden yellowish color, and I will never see him in any other color ever again. I just can't imagine it. With that being said, though, I also liked adding blue because of blue's colors as well. They just complement each other so nicely. They work well, and it was fun. The other thing I liked about finishing this piece, though, would be the addition of that blue shading on the whites. So, you know, there's like this rule, and if you don't know the rule, I'll explain it to you now. It's when you shade something, you don't just adjust your colors to be like darker or desaturated. What you can do is you could use a different color to define, especially when it comes to shading white. So in the case of the situation here, I use this like light blue color to do the shading on the white, just because it then doesn't feel too flat or like possibly too cold or something along those lines. It's a bit more vibrant and saturated, so then it feels more vibrant and saturated. It feels like a better color choice than to go with like a gray or something along those lines. And it just keeps up with the vibrant theme that I'm trying to go for this page, keeping it colorful, and especially with the duo section here, just to make sure that we don't forget, like, hey, add some colors to the spread, please. And also just leaving it plain white just didn't feel right. So yeah, adding a light blue, especially since we were using the light blue already, because blue has some like accent patches and whatnot that are this color. So to use that as the shading for the white made sense in a way. But yeah, no, I really do like the spread so much. It's such a nice spread, and it steps out of my usual like comfort zone and whatnot, and it does like a different style. I get to play with two characters and their composition with each other. I get to play with this chonky marker boy, and like played with landscape a little bit. So it's really just pushing me, and I can't ask for more, really. And I really do hope that I get to do more cool spreads, even like this, where there's pops of colors, and so it'll be interesting for me to flip back in the future, and for you guys to view also in the future. There are some inconsistencies with blue, though, just because I can't make decisions. Anybody else very indecisive? Because I know I am. But anyways, yeah, so there are some inconsistencies with Blue's character, and it probably will continue like that until I make like an official art piece for him or something along those lines, where I actually know what colors are his colors. And especially with the colors that I have for my tombos, you know, it's sort of hard to figure out like what color would suit him in this medium, just because you are limited by what mediums you currently possess. It'll be fun in the future, though. That's fine. I don't mind it too much. And also, like, he isn't supposed to really have black on him, but it was what I was using at the time, and I didn't want to introduce too many different colors into this spread, so I try to keep it, like, minimal colors that still defines the characters. The other cool thing, though, is definitely playing with the negative space and like leaving lines of white separation, just so then it's a bit more defined and easier to read when it comes to the pieces like Blue's legs and Lucas's strap for his bag. Both of them do have bags, by the way. Blue is more of so there's like a little strap that's over his right shoulder and like comes around his left side. Those would be like buckles that his bags can like snap onto, and then he could just quickly like take them off, and that way it's more secure and like less likely for someone just to yank it off or like to cut it off. Not that there's a problem with regular bags, it just was like a cool like futuristic thing that might be cool in his time, or might be in the time setting that he is from. But yeah, so dang it, I referred to do it as he. It's supposed to be they because I don't really know, but it's too late now. We've said it too many times. Now blue is a he, and I'm sorry. Please don't fight me on this. I don't want to fight. But yeah, just adding some final details too, and as you can see, shading in Lucas's whites with that blue too sort of brings him more cohesion to this piece as well, and then also bringing that blue as shading for, you know, blue. It's more like a purpley blue though. Well, especially like that nib, it looks purple. But yeah. Like, I just can't get over how nice the spread is though, especially when I flip through it myself, and just like whenever I'm opening my sketchbook, it just makes me feel so more confident in my skills, and it's also just a really cool style to try out. I absolutely love the little line eyes with the simplified form, and then just like these. Lucas is supposed to have large hands. I know Blue does, but like he should have large hands and like just these large shoes that are very like cartoony, and you could sort of see that it's more cyberpunky tech. But yeah, final show of the spread. This is my favorite one by far, just because I tried a different landscape and like different style, so I liked that a whole lot. And then this is my second favorite, and then it's that headshot. It's just really cool to see everything come together and try something new. So yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking around. I hope you guys all stay safe, stay hydrated, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!